All right, Shalom. This is Harawan by Yasha Allah of the Lions Den Camp. Want to say Kal Halayim, La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Harakar Kodash, Ma'amad. Double honor to the elder apostles of GMS and the elders. Shalom to you, Akim, and Agwatim and children that believe in sincerity and truth around the four corners of the earth. I just want to do this lesson, get it off my spirit, man. It's been eating at me for a few days, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. All right. This is Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. All right. Now I'm going to stop right there before we even start. Because a lot of these churches, they teach that in the beginning, God created the heaven and earth. They just teach that it was just the Most High. The Most High is a king. He don't have to do anything. He has servants. And who did he set up to do it? He gave all that power to his son, Yahushua. And Yahushua gave the orders. And from his own hand, he created everything and set it in place, set it in motion, set it in orbit. All right, brought us to life, put us in bodies, all these things, created the spirit. So it says, in the beginning, so now see, let me just read it first. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So let's see what, let's get into that. This right here, you have beginnings, all right? Beginnings. And it means what? Ra'ash Yath. All right, Ra'ash Yath. It means what? First, in place, time, order, rank. First, beginning, best, chief, first choice. So it's Ra'ash Yath. All right, Ra'ash means head. So it'd be like the head and the tail, the beginning, the end. So this was all in the beginning. Now, that's where you get the word Genesis from. All right. So Ra'ash Yath. So it'd be Ba. All right. Ath Ra'ash Yath. So Ba in or Baha Ra'ash Yath, which will be in the beginnings. All right, the first. Or Ba Ra'ash Yath. Either one. So in the beginnings, all right. So this was the beginning. Now, when did this happen? Almost 14,000 years ago. They say the earth is almost 9,000. But if you take 5,000 years back, that's going to take you to the time of the flood. Or, and before the flood, you have Noah. Before the flood, you have Adam, Shem, Seth, Cain, and Abel. So all these things go back to about 7,000 BC, or a little bit further. Now, if you go all the way, if you understand the creation of the heavens and the earth, that took 6,000 years, and the Lord rested on the seventh. All right, and that 7,000th year, that's that year of rest, that paradise. We have Adam and Eve being established. So it says, in the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. All right. So now, where it says God, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Right there is talking about the powers. All right. Because they create the earth, they work for 6,000 years. In that 7,000 years, there'll be a 1,000-year rest. Just like now, we're going into what? The 7,000th year. All right. We're at the end of the 6th, and we're going into the 7th. And that 1,000-year period going to be a rest for the children of Israel, but it's going to be hell for Esau. So that's what the Lord does. He set everything in motion and rest from his work for 1,000 years. All right. So now let's see real quick what God means. Now you have the word God, which is what? Allah. That's just a title. That's not his name. His name is Yahweh, and his son's name is Yahushua. So-called dark-skinned entities with white and woolly hair. So right here we'll say what? Allah would be singular form. All right, Allah. You Edomites, y'all, and Americans, y'all say Elohim, but in the true Hebrew, it will say Allah. But once you add the yum to it at the end, it makes it plural, so it would be Allah yum. All right, yum at the end of any word in the Hebrew makes it plural, so this would be Allah Hayim, which means what? Gods, plural, the supreme God, magistrates, a superlative, rulers, judges, divine ones, angels. All right, so these were all the angels, and Yahushua was in the midst of them, and Yahweh gave Yahushua the orders, and he created everything, man. They started from creating what we call the Shemayim, the universe, space, the space vacuum, or the satin curtain, and spread that out, in an oval shape, sphere, and made many universes, man. This is not the only one. They made the earth, all right, and so on and so on, and the sun and the moon. So that's what I want to get into. And then he made the firmament. All right, that's very important to understand, man. This is Colossians 1:15. Yep. Matter of fact, I'm going to read from here. 13. 12. It says, giving thanks unto the Father. All right. Because that's who all praises go to, Yahweh, which have made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light. All right. So he allowed us to be partakers of the foundation that was laid before us, of the saints, the disciples, the apostles, the prophets, and the inheritance, which would be the kingdom, and doing his work, who have delivered us. That's what Yahushua said, those that you have given me. All right. That's all he prays for. It says, and has translated us into, who have delivered us from the power of darkness, which is sin. If you're not in the light, you're in the dark. That's just it. There's no in between. The Lord made a complete divide between the two. If you're not dwelling with wisdom, you're dwelling in sin, or you're dwelling with wickedness or deception or lies or evil, and have translated us into the kingdom of his dear son. And to translate us means what? To change us. All right. To recreate us, making us renewed. Right. Renewed us. To translate, it says us into the kingdom of his dear son. And ultimately, we're going to physically be translated like Enoch was translated into the heaven to be changed. Whoops. All right, this is the translate. It says to transfer, carry away, dispose, exchange, seduce, to transpose, transfer, remove from one place to another, of change of situation or place. So the Lord said he's going to change our hell into heaven. All right, where we look for a new heaven and a new earth, upon a new way of living upon this earth, to where we'll be the head and not the tail. It'll be righteousness. He said our people shall be all righteous. And that's what we're looking for, to be translated and changed and carried over into the kingdom. Now, it says, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, man. So not through sacrifice, not through any type of other process. We only have forgiveness of sins through the blood of Yahushua, the cross, who he died for, having faith in his testimony. All right, and children of Israel. And it says, for who is the image of the invisible power, the firstborn of every creature, man. So he's the spitting image of Yahweh. If Yahweh came down in the flesh, that's what he would look like. All right, but they're two separate entities. But he made him like his son. He created him. Upon earth, he had black hair. People always draw and paint him with white hair. That's in the heavens. All right, he had white and woolly hair. But on the earth, he was born just like us. He wasn't born with white and woolly hair. You see a lot of people drawing these pictures and painting pictures of him on the cross with white and woolly hair. It just don't make sense. He could have had some grays, but you know what I mean? If you had the ancient pictures of him, he had black hair. All right, so he had the spirit of Yahweh in him, man. All right. They're in agreement. And he said he gave all judgment over to his son. So Yahweh Shai is a judge. All right. Spitting image of his father. It says a likeness, literally statue, profile, or representation, resemblance. So Yahweh Shai is the representation of Yahweh. All right. Like if you sent your son out to represent you, you know, he's the immediate representation of you. It says, who is the image of the invisible power? So the Lord, so Yahweh made himself visible to these eyes that we have. All right. In the spirit, you'll see him, but in these eyes, in these bodies, these eyes, the lens that we have, we're going to see certain colors. You're going to see certain things, man. All right. So it's called the what? Chains of darkness. So he made himself invisible. But we'll take that to mean that we're more real than he is. No, he's real. And we're created later. We're the imagination. You know? I always say to die is gain. For by him were all things created. All right? So he was the first creation ever. Yahweh Shai. He was the cup that Yahweh poured his wisdom into. All right? And what? It says, for by him were all things created. So by Yahweh Shai were all things created. The son of Yahweh. He created everything. All right, even the heavens and the earth. If we read in Genesis, that are in heaven. All right, so in the spiritual realm and in the Shemayim or celestial bodies, which would be like the planets, the earth, the stars, the spiritual bodies that we have out there waiting on us. All the atomic makeups out there and molecules and elements. He created all of that. Time itself, he created that. The process of the sun and the moon orbiting around the earth. Created time, seasons, weeks, months. Man, it says, for by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in the earth. All right, so he created, so Yahweh Shai created all these things. That's why I said God, but it's talking about what? Plural, the powers, all right, the angels. And I'm going to show proof on that it wasn't just Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Shai gave command to his angels, just like today. For by him were all things created. That's why he calls us his creatures that are in heaven. So even the fowls of the air, that part of heaven, all right, what they call the troposphere, and that are in earth, visible and invisible. So the things you can see with your naked eye and the things that you can't see, man. All right, so everything that's invisible, from atoms to waves to light, certain levels of light, the things that we can't see outside the firmament, the things we can't see out in the heavens and the spiritual realm. So the Lord created all of that, man. That are in heaven and that are in earth. And the things you can't see that are in earth are what? The wind, you know, the spiritual realm, the atoms and shit like that. All right. it says, and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. So all things were created by him and for him. All right. So he created it for himself and for his people. That's why the Lord said, if you ever see the sun and the moon disappear, then will the children of Israel be gone. But he created all of that for us, for him and by himself. All right. And for his people. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. And he is the head of the body. It's crazy, right? So whether they be thrones, all the kingdoms that rule upon this earth, Esau ruling, Yahushua created that to happen. And they actually killed Yahushua when he came upon the earth and our people. And he is before all things, and by him all things consist. He is the head of the body, the church. Just like you, what you call the church, the 7 churches of Asia Minor. The church would be the called out ones from Israel. All right, the gathering. All right. Who is the beginning? So he is the beginning. All right. So he's Adam, the firstborn from the dead. So the first one to die and then be risen up by Yahweh. That in all things he might have the preeminence. You know. This is Daniel chapter 4 and 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the Holy One, the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. All right, so Yahweh, what? Let me get this. Check this out. This is John 5 and 22. Now, you notice it said the Most High, but check this out. For the Father judgeth no man, but hath committed all judgment unto his Son, that all men should honor the Son, even as they honor the Father. He that honoreth not the Son honoreth not the Father, which have sent him. All right, so he gave all honor and judgment to Yahushua. So Yahushua has what? Revelations 1 and 18. I am he that liveth. So Yahushua is the one that's alive right now. Truly alive. All right, even has a spiritual body, power, angelic body, glorified body, and was dead. So he came down here and they put him to death. But he's alive, right? Risen up into the heavens and still alive to this day, forevermore. It says, and behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen. And have the keys of hell and death. So Yahushua is the one that can bind us up and the one that can free us. He's the one that can put us in the hell of sorrow, right? To where we have to be translated from, meaning carried over into a new situation, to where we see a new Jerusalem upon earth, new heaven and new earth. It says, in death, meaning sin, these bodies, destruction. So the Lord can free us from all of that, man. Matthew 10 and 28. And fear not them which kill the body. All right, so we're not supposed to fear man. The Lord did not give us the spirit of fear, but the spirit of hope. But are not able to kill the soul, right? We have hope and faith in Yahushua. And Yahushua can kill the soul. He can have you alive upon this earth, spiritually dead. All right, he could separate the body from the spirit and have the body die and kill that soul, kill that character that person had, to where they have to be born into a new body, to be a whole new person. But rather fear him which is able to destroy both soul and body in hell. All right, so hell is right here upon the earth. The place of judgment. Now it says your soul, he can destroy the soul by having it what? Hosea 4 and 6, destroy for lack of knowledge. And then he has to be destroyed physically upon the earth as a nation, as a person, and then as a body. He can have that body be destroyed. So Yahweh Shai has control of all of that, man. To bind up what's upon the earth. This is 2 Ezra 6:56. As for the other people which also come of Adam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So the Lord created the heavens, the earth, all these things for us, man, for himself and us. Because I read it earlier where he said everything was created by him and for him. So now, through the scripture, we understand that he created, he's going to give all these things to us, the way Yahweh gave blessings to Yahweh Shai. All right, he's going to glorify and honor his brothers, his servants. Verse 56, but be like unto spittle, and has likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. So if you have a bucket and the drop falls out, you're going to keep on moving. You ain't going to worry about that drop. That's how the Lord is not worried about these nations. All right. And now, O Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, behold, these heathen, which have ever been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and to devour us. But we, thy people, whom thou hast called thy firstborn, all right? So we were with him in the creations of everything. The children of Israel, we're his firstborn. Thy only begotten and thy fervent lover are given into their hands, man. All right, so we're given into the nation's hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall us endure? And that's an important question. And we know how long it's going to endure until the end of Esau. But why do we not possess an inheritance? This is 2 Ezra chapter 7. This is the next chapter. All right. And it says, and I said, speak on my power. Then said he unto me, the sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great, right? Because the kingdom is already established, is already set up for us. It's a reward, it's a prize that we have to work towards. All right. That it might be deep and great. So the wide place is what? This world. And he said, wide is the gate to destruction and narrow is the way to the kingdom. All right. But put the case, the entrance were narrow and like a river. All right. So a river coursing in one direction toward the kingdom. Who then, because that's what this life is going towards, the kingdom. Those that desire righteousness, that's what you're going to receive, because that's what's coming. This whole life is moving, coursing towards the kingdom. Different courses in life. It's all heading towards the end. All right. The end of the system. It's going to it's going to turn into what? The wide open sea, which is going to be the kingdom. Who then could go into the sea to look upon it and to rule it if he went not through the narrow? How can he come into the broad? All right. So, all right. Now here go the point. I'm gonna end it with this one. On this point, 2 Ezra 7:6. There is also another thing. A city is builded. All right. So it's already built. He said the kingdom is already prepared and set upon a broad field, and is full of all good things. The entrance thereof is narrow. All right. So that's what the affliction. That's what the scriptures say. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. All right. He says, so narrow what? That only one man can go through at once. So, all right. So it's an individual deliverance. All right. It says, and is set in a dangerous place to fall. And that's this world today. This world was given to the hand of the wicked. So the Lord had these heathens establish a wicked environment for us. Hell. It says a place to fall, like as if there were fire on the right hand, with that adversity, the furnace of affliction, and on the left hand, the deep water. All right, the affliction and the adversity. All right, the waters of affliction and the fire of adversity, or something like that. And one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go there at once. All right, so it's so now if you look at this world, this current world, the scriptures say, oh man, I'm gonna have to get it because I'm gonna get it after this. If the city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? All right, so there's a goal that we got to reach, and it's set up for every man to enter his own path at once toward the kingdom, working out his own salvation with fear and trembling. We enter into this life one at a time through reincarnation. Because if all Israel were here in the kingdom, if he brought us all on the earth right now, the earth couldn't hold it. Just like a womb, the womb couldn't hold all babies being born at the same time. All right, everything's done in process of time, one by one. And that's why he had to set up order, set up ranking, set up Yahushua first, the head and the tail, the chain links, right? And I said, it is so, Lord. Then said he unto me, even so also is Israel's portion. That's our inheritance. That's what we got to go through. All right. No servant is greater than his master. Yahushua, the first Adam, suffered through the flood. The first Adam suffered death in general, as death was to Adam, the flood were to those our forefathers. All right, 5,000 years ago. And as the cross and temptation and that fiery affliction was to Yahushua, that's how this affliction is to us today. All right. To get to the kingdom. Because for their sakes, I made the world. All right. So for our sakes, he made the world, the heavens, the shining of the light from the sun on the earth. All these things were made for us to enjoy it. He made the moon, the seasons, the times, all these things for us, not for the world. It says full of sorrow and travail. So like it. Because for their sakes I made the world. And when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail. They are but few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit. If then they that live labor not to enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. So that's why that answers Ezra's question, when he said, why do we not retain an inheritance with the world? So we don't want an inheritance with the world. We want our inheritance, which is the kingdom. All right, with Yahushua. All right, before I go on, I'm going to do a recap where we're at. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the heaven and the earth. All right, so now we know the beginnings, which would be Barayash, which is Ra'ash, with Yath. All right, the beginning. Ra'ash means head. So in the beginning, Elohim, which would be the powers, so Yahushua and the powers, the angels, created the heaven and the earth. All right. All right. So I'm going to read this, John 1:1. In the beginning, see, was the Word. And that the Word represents who? Revelation 19 and 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, talking about the chariots of Yahushua. And he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. And in righteousness he doeth judge and make war. All right, remember, all judgment was committed unto Yahushua, and to make war. In Exodus it says that the Lord is a man of war. Yahushua is his name. All right, the son of Yahweh. Right there it say Yahweh, but in these times we know it's talking about his son, Yahushua. He's the man of war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written that no man knew but he himself, meaning him and the people that's like him. In those last days, they're going to be the only ones left. And he was clothed or delivered in sincerity. And he was clothed with a vesture dipped in blood. And his name is called the Word of God. So Yahushua is the Word, the living Word. All right, so John 1:1. In the beginning was the Word. So Yahushua was from the beginning. This is John 8:58. And Yahushua said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. All right. So Yahushua was here before Abraham. Revelations 1:7. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him. So when Yahushua returns, the people that pierced him, so who's that? Jake pierced him in the side with the spear, and Esau. All right. Now it says, I am Alpha and Omega. Now Alpha is the first letter of the Greek alphabet, and Omega is the last letter of the Greek, or character of the Greek alphabet. Now, in our Hebrew, it would be Ah and the Tha. All right. Ah represents the head or leader, and you have the Tha, meaning the end. All right. So he's the one that's going to show up and put it, put whoever in the lead, and he's also going to show up and put whoever in the end, from the beginning all the way to the end. He was here. He's the one that established everything. So he was here from the beginning. And he's going to show up and be the same son of Yahweh in the end, but more glorified. It says, saith Yahushua, which is and was, and which was, and which is to come, the Almighty. So Yahushua, Yahweh gave him power, so he'll be the Almighty. Alashadja, bringing power. He coming in the power of Yahweh, his own glory, and in the power, the glory of the holy angels. All right, just as in the beginning. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with the powers. See, it's supposed to say powers right there. All right, but it says God. So it's talking about Yahushua was with Yahweh and the angels from the beginning. And the Word was a power himself. All right, I'm reading it the correct way. So the Word was God. So he was a power too. One of the powers. The same was in the beginning with the powers, or power. So Yahushua was with Yahweh and the angels from the beginning. This is Psalm 68:17. The chariots of Yahweh are 20,000, even thousands of angels. See, the powers. The Lord, Yahushua, is among them. So Yahushua is with the angels, man. As in Sinai. So he was with the angels that appeared to Moses in Mount Sinai. All right. From the beginning. It's crazy, right? In the holy place. So that was Yahushua all the way from the beginning, all the way in Deuteronomy, Genesis. All right. So the same, verse 2, John 1 and 2, the same was in the beginning with the powers. So it said he's in the midst of them. All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. So even the angels, Yahushua made them. All right, by the power of Yahweh. If you're sitting here listening to this today, Yahushua made you. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. All right, so Yahushua is what? The one that created everything. All right, I'm not going to go too far into this because I want to save some for the next lesson I do on Genesis chapter, the rest of Genesis chapter 1, and going into Genesis chapter, where is it at? All right. So I want to finish up Genesis chapter 1, probably later on throughout this day. All right. So now I'm going to finish this real quick. 2 Ezra 6 and 38. And I said, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of creation. Now, this is another point too, man. It wasn't just the angel Uriel speaking to Ezra. It was a point in the scriptures with Ezra that Yahushua stepped out and spoke to him, man. And, you know, kind of cutting with scripture a little bit and with the truth. When the angel Uriel was giving his message to him, he heard another voice, and that voice was as the voice of many waters. And that was Yahushua. That's why he started saying, Lord. All right. It says, O Lord, thou spakest from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and said thus, let heaven and earth be made, and thy word was made perfect. Now I want to end it on that point because it shows the power of Yahushua and who we're dealing with and who's dealing with us and who these people are mocking and scoffing at. But another point it shows is that Yahushua is from the beginning and he created all things. Now, he said, let the heaven and the earth be made. So that's the first day he made the things out in the heavens, which would be the sun, moon, and the stars. All right. And what you call the Shemayim. All right. And Yahweh Ratazah show that on the next lesson. And this is just an opener. All right. Shalom. But actually, you know what? Before I say shalom, let me go back to Genesis. Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So now you understand what he created and who created it. All right. So let me get something else real quick. Let me see. This is heaven. So he made the heavens, which would be Shemayim. You see that? Shamayim. All right. Because you have Mayim, which will represent the waters. All right. The water that you drink, the water that you see. Within this firmament, the waters that you see, that's the Mayim. Shemayim means the heavens, the waters out there, the winds type of heaven, the moving winds, the waters. All right. So Shemayim, the sky. See that? Heavens. Shah means what? To divide into two. So that's where the molecules are split apart, and you get different levels of Mayim, Shemayim. All right, once you go into the firmament, the lower levels of the firmament and the higher levels of the firmament, all the way out to the space vacuum, which is called the Shemayim. All right. It says what? As abode of the stars. So everything outside of the firmament is called Shemayim. As the visible universe, the sky, atmosphere, etc., heaven, as the abode of God. So that's Shemayim. All right, so lofty. So he made the heavens, created all of that, and then created the earth, which is Aratazah. All right, Aratazah. All right, terrain or land, earth, whole, as opposed to a part, earth, as opposed to heaven, earth, inhabitants. So he created what? That ball of earth. It was just a dark mass. And I'm gonna get into that next on the next lesson. All right, Shalom. Hope this was edifying.